Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhagavata. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rāma, Rāma Rāma, Hare Hare.
Do you want put it on your pocket? This is for online viewers.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, just.
Let me see. Let me first offer my respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is the ultimate goal of life for one bereft of all possessions in this material world, and is the only meaning for one advancing in spiritual life. Thus, let me write about his magnanimous contribution of devotional service and love of God. A person in the conditioned state stage of material existence is in an atmosphere of helplessness. But the conditioned soul, under the illusion of Maya, or the external energy, thinks that he is completely protected by his country, society, friendship, and love, not knowing that at the time of death, none of these can save him. The laws of material nature are so strong that none of our material possessions can save us from the cruel hands of death. In the Bhagavad Gita 13:9, it is stated, Janma Mrityu Ja Vyadi Dukkha Dosana Darshanam. One who is actually advancing must always consider the four principles of miserable life, namely birth, death, old age, and disease. One cannot be saved from all these miseries unless he takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is therefore the only shelter for all conditioned souls. An intelligent person therefore does not put his faith in any material possessions, but completely takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord. Such a person is called a kinchana, or one who does not possess anything in this material world. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is also known as a kinchana gochara, for he can be achieved by a person who does not put his faith in material possessions. Therefore, for the fully surrendered soul who has no material possessions on which to depend, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the only shelter. Everyone depends upon dharma, religiosity, artha, economic development, kama, sense gratification, and ultimately moksha, salvation. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, due to his magnanimous character, can give more than salvation. Therefore, in this verse, the words hinartha dika sadakam indicate that although by material estimation, salvation is of a quality superior to the inferior interests of religiosity, economic development, and sense gratification, above salvation there is the position of devotional service and transcendental love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the bestower of this great benediction. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Prema Pumartha Mahan. Love of Godhead is the ultimate benediction for all human beings. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, the author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, therefore first offers his respectful obeisances unto Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu before describing his magnanimity in bestowing love of Godhead. Can you bring me to 12th canto? 12th canto. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very merciful. Put it here. And who is very dear to Advaita Acharya and Lord Nityananda. All glories to the master of Srinivas Thakur. All glories to the master of Haridas Thakur. All glories to the dear master of Gadadhar Pandit. All glories to the master of the life of Swarup Damodar. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is very dear to Kashi Mishra. He is the Lord of the life of Jagannath and the Lord of Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, and Raghunath Das Goswami. All glories to the transcendental form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, kindly give me shelter at your lotus feet by your causeless mercy. All glories to Lord Nityananda, who is the life and soul of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. My dear Lord, kindly give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. All glories to Advaita Acharya, who is treated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as superior due to his age and respectability. Please give me engagement in devotional service at your lotus feet. All glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for the Lord is their life and soul. All of you kindly bestow devotional service upon me. All glories to Rupa, Sanatan, Jiva, Raghunath Das, Raghunath Bhatta, and Gopal Bhatta Goswami, the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan. They are all my masters. This is the beginning of Antya-lila, chapter 9, the passing of Haridas Thakur. The first verse, of course, we read was the very first verse of Adi-lila, chapter 7, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in 5 features. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityanando Sodito Godadye Pushpavanto Chitro Sando Tamo Nudo. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, who are like the sun and moon. They have arisen simultaneously on the horizon of Goda to dissipate the darkness of ignorance and thus wonderfully bestow benediction upon all. What the Upanishads describe as the impersonal Brahman is but the effulgence of his body, and the Lord, known as the Supersoul, is but his localized plenary portion. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, full with 6 opulences. He is the absolute truth, and no other truth is greater than or equal to him. May that Lord, who is known as the son of Srimati Sachi Devi, be transcendently situated in the innermost chambers of your heart. Resplendent with the radiance of molten gold, he has appeared in the age of Kali by his causeless mercy to bestow what no incarnation ever offered before, the most sublime and radiant spiritual knowledge of the mellow taste of his service. The loving affairs of Sri Radha and Krishna are transcendental manifestations of the Lord's internal pleasure-giving potency. Although Radha and Krishna are one in their identity, they separated themselves eternally. Now, these 2 transcendental identities have again united in the form of Sri Krishna Chaitanya. I bow down to him who has manifested himself with the sentiment and complexion of Srimati Radharani, although he is Krishna himself. Desiring to understand the glory of Radharani's love, the wonderful qualities in him that she alone relishes through her love, and the happiness she feels when she realizes the sweetness of his love, the Supreme Lord Hari, richly endowed with her emotions, appears from the womb of Srimati Sachi Devi as the moon appears from the ocean. In this way, my Lord, you appear in various incarnations as a human being, an animal, a great saint, a demigod, a fish, or a tortoise, thus maintaining the entire creation in different planetary systems and killing the demoniac principles. According to the age, O my Lord, you protect the principles of religion. In the age of Kali, however, you do not assert yourself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore you are known as Triyuga, or the Lord who appears in 3 yugas. This is Prahlad Maharaj pacifies Lord Nrsimhadev with prayers, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 9, verse 38. Quite notably, His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada gave class on the Holy Gorpanim Day in ISKCON Sri Dham Mayapur Chandradoya Mandir, I believe 1976 on this verse. As the Lord appeared just to maintain Lord Brahma from the attack of Madhu and Kaitaba, he also appeared to protect the great devotee Prahlad Maharaj. Similarly, Lord Chaitanya appeared in order to protect the fallen souls of Kali Yuga. There are 4 yugas or millenniums: Satya, Treta, Dwarpa, and Kali. In all the yugas but Kali Yuga, the Lord appears in various incarnations and asserts himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But although Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who appears in Kali Yuga, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he never asserted himself as such. On the contrary, whenever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was addressed as being as good as Krishna, he blocked his ears with his hands, denying his identity with Krishna because he was playing the part of a devotee. Lord Chaitanya knew that in Kali Yuga there would be many bogus incarnations pretending to be God, and therefore he avoided asserting himself as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was accepted as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, in many Vedic literatures, especially in Srimad Bhagavatam, in his famous verse, is again quoted by Prabhupada, this was spoken by the Nava-yogendras in their merciful instruction to King Nimi, which is in the 11th canto, 5th chapter, 32nd verse, Krishna Varnam Tasa Krishnam, Sango Pangasya Parshadam, Yagnai Sankirtana Prayer, Yajantihi Sumedasaha. So even Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's predicted descent was understood by great saintly self-realized persons many millions and millions of years ago. In Kali Yuga, intelligent men worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always accompanied by his associates, such as Nityananda, Advaita, Gadadhar, and Srivas. Can someone find my Preaching is the Essence, which is in this cabinet, hidden, I maybe shouldn't say, the secret is disclosed, all the way in the back right-hand corner. This book is not to be sold, given away, loaned, or moved from that place for any reason under severe penalty. Thank you very much. The entire Krishna consciousness movement is based on the principle of the Sankirtan movement, inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, one who tries to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the Sankirtan movement knows everything perfectly. He is Sumedas, a person with substantial intelligence. So, just as an important quality to see in a pure devotee is that the pure devotee completely understands and is perfectly realized on the point that simply by serving Krishna, everything required, what to speak of everything desirable, will automatically be accomplished and fulfilled beyond what you can even think to calculate or hope for. What is that saying? If God wants to give you with his 10 hands, what could you accept with your 2? And the opposite mentality, which is most undesirable, if God wants to take with his 10 hands, how much can you hold on to with your 2? Going back to the Adi Leela, this is towards the conclusion of the external reason for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, which is this section, beginning in the verse 77, is the prelude to describing Advaita Acharya's appeal for Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, for Krishna himself to appear. The word anga indeed refers to plenary portions. Such manifestations should never be considered products of material nature, for they are all transcendental, full of knowledge, and full of bliss. Sri Advaita and Nityananda Prabhus are both plenary portions of Lord Chaitanya. Thus they are the limbs, angas, of his body. The parts of these 2 limbs are called upangas. Thus the Lord is equipped with sharp weapons in the form of his parts and plenary portions. All these weapons are competent enough to crush the faithless atheists. So Prabhupada did not get to the 11th canto to translate and comment on it directly, but Krishna Varnam Tisa Krishnam, 11th canto, chapter 5, verse number 52, is included in this 3rd chapter of the Adi Leela. And here Prabhupada Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is explaining on and on, here some 20 verses later, the meaning of anga and limb and the weapons. And Prabhupada was commenting here in the Chaitanya Charitamrita that he subdues the demons and atheists by his super excellent beauty in this age. And that, of course, with perfect logic and exacting philosophical conclusive truth to defeat any atheistic argument. Atheists or Prashandas try to bring the Supreme Lord down to a mundane level. Sometimes they create their own imagery God, or accept imaginary God, or accept an ordinary person as God and advertise him as equal to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So during Krishna's time, one such person was epitomized as the Pondraka, who dressed himself up with like a cheap actor's costume, declaring himself to be the real Supreme Personality of Godhead, and even was so brazen was to threaten the actual Supreme Personality of Godhead to give up his actual weapons and surrender unto him, otherwise he will be chastised. And Krishna just simply called him a complete bogus rascal and just immediately ended his life right on the spot. They are so foolish that they are present sometimes as the next incarnation. They present someone as the next incarnation of Lord Chaitanya or Krishna, although his activities are all contradictory to those of a genuine incarnation, and thus they fool the innocent public. One who is intelligent and who studies the characteristics of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with reference to the Vedic context cannot be bewildered by such prashandas. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.8, Paritranaya Sadhunam. The Lord and his devotees, saving the righteous and chastising the miscreants, always curb these nonsensical atheists. Miscreants always want to deny the Supreme Personality of Godhead and put stumbling blocks in the path of devotional service. The Lord sends his bona fide representatives and appears himself to curb this nonsense. So his divine grace, Srila Prabhupada, demonstrated most triumphantly, gloriously, and in a very strong way, this actual very, very important symptom of the true Acharya to defeat all types of atheistic rascals. Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskita Deshatarani. Sri Nityananda Goswami is directly Haladar, Lord Balaram, and Advaita Acharya is the personality of Godhead himself. These two captains with their soldiers, such as Srinivas Thakur, travel everywhere, chanting the holy name of the Lord. So, in those days, there were no motorized conveyances. Either you traveled by some type of animal, camel, elephant, horse, donkey, or you walked on your own 2 feet. But now, with all different types of traveling, I just saw that in Japan, they're going to make a super Shinkansen, which can travel 1 mile in 11 seconds. How many miles per hour is that? Who's a mathematician? Anyway, whatever. So, but now, the devotees of the Lord can stay very comfortably in one place, especially the demoniac civilization has created cities where everybody's all packed in, and people have to, even they live outside, they have to commute in here to earn their livelihood, to earn the 4 japatis on their plate at the end of the day before they collapse in exhaustion and have to go to sleep and go out and do it again the next day. That the people travel to us. Lord Nityananda's very features indicate that he is the subduer of the unbelievers. All sins and unbelievers flee from the loud shouts of Advaita Acharya. So these are all very nice verses which prelude these incredible statements. Now, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya is the initiator of Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord, one who worships him through Sankirtan is fortunate indeed. Such a person is truly intelligent. It's a more in-depth look at what is this Sumedha Saha. Whereas others who have but a poor fund of knowledge must endure the cycle of repeated birth and death. Of all sacrificial performances, the chanting of the Lord's holy name is the most sublime. Purport. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the father and inaugurator of the Sankirtan movement, one who worships him by sacrificing his life, money, intelligence, and words for the Sankirtan movement is recognized by the Lord and endowed with his blessings. All others may be said to be foolish, for all sacrifices in which a man may apply his energy, a sacrifice for the Sankirtan movement is the most glorious. One who says that 10 million Ashvamedha sacrifices are equal to the chanting of the holy name of Lord Krishna is undoubtedly an atheist. He is sure to be punished by Yamaraj. In the auspicious introduction to the Bhagavat Sandarbha, Srila Jiva Goswami has given the following verse as an explanation. I take shelter of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is outwardly of fair complexion, but is inwardly Krishna himself. In this age of Kali, he displays his expansions, his angas and upangas by performing congregational chanting of the holy name of the Lord. In the Upapuranas, we hear Sri Krishna showing his mercy to Vyasadeva by speaking to him as follows. O learned Brahmana, sometimes I accept the renounced order of life to induce the fallen people of the age of Kali to accept devotional service to the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam, the Mahabharata, the Puranas, and other Vedic literatures all give evidence to prove that Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the incarnation of Krishna. One can directly see Lord Chaitanya's manifest influence in his uncommon deeds and uncommon Krishna-conscious realization. But faithless unbelievers do not see what is clearly evident, just as owls do not see the rays of the sun. Now a beautiful verse, number 12, from Yamuna Acharya's Stotra Ratna. O my Lord, those influenced by demoniac principles cannot realize you, although you are clearly the supreme by dint of your exalted activities, forms, characters, and uncommon power, which are confirmed by all the revealed scriptures in the quality of goodness and the celebrated transcendentalists in the divine nature. And the next verse of Stotra Ratna 13, which is just after Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says this briefly, Lord Sri Krishna tries to hide himself in various ways, but nevertheless his pure devotees know him as he is. O my Lord, everything within this material nature is limited by time, space, and thought. So when we go back home, back to Godhead, there is no limitation of time and space. Certainly not as we understand it here. Your characteristics, however, being unequaled and unsurpassed, are always transcendental to such limitations. Just like we all have to play our role within time here, and those who have come before us, we will have to bear their departure and separation in this life. And similarly, those who have come after us, they will have to bear ours when we leave. Not so in the spiritual world. Always transcendental to such limitations. You sometimes cover such characteristics by your own energy, but nevertheless, your unalloyed devotees are always able to see you under all circumstances. Prabhupada's purport. Everything covered by the influence of Maya is within the limited boundaries of space, time, and thought. Even the greatest manifestation we can conceive, the sky, also has limitations. From the authentic scriptures, however, it is evident that beyond the sky is a covering of 7 layers, each 10 times thicker than the one preceding it. The covering layers are vast, but with or without coverings, space is limited. So this is, Prabhupada gave the illustration on the cover of Easy Journey to Other Planets. The pure devotee is taking an easy journey to Goloka Vrindavan, transcending all the layers of time and space. Easy journey to Goloka Vrindavan. Our power to think about space and time is also limited. Time is eternal. We may imagine billions and trillions of years, but that will still be an inadequate estimate of the extent of time. Our imperfect senses therefore cannot think of the greatness of the Lord, nor can we bring him within the limitations of time or our thinking power. His position is accordingly described by the word ulangita. He is transcendental to space, time, and thought, although he appears within them. He exists transcendentally. Even the Lord's transcendental existence is disguised by space, time, and thought. However, pure devotees of the Supreme Lord can see him in his personal features beyond space, time, and thought. In other words, even the Lord is not visible to the eyes of ordinary men, though those who are beyond the covering layers because of their transcendental devotional service can still see him. So Maharaj Parikshit had 7 days and nights, 7 times 24 hours to live. So in the 12th canto, 6th chapter, Maharaj Parikshit passes away. Yes. So the epic chapter 3, the Bhumi Gita, with the earth personified herself, describes the burdensome, from her point of view, the burdensome condition of the demons upon her in this age of Kali. This is just after Parikshit Maharaj gives the symptoms of the age of Kali. And after Shukadeva Goswami narrates the entirety of Goddess Bhumi's statement, he concludes, and again, these are the final instructions to Maharaj Parikshit. Not final, but getting towards the end. My dear king, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate controller. He's the supreme soul and the supreme shelter of all beings. When meditated upon by those about to die, it reveals to them their own eternal spiritual identity. So what is that chapter in the 1st canto, part 3? How Maharaj Parikshit received the age of Kali. He was the Raj Rishi, he was the leader on this planet when Kali Yuga entered. So here, Shukadeva Goswami, in a way consoling Maharaj Parikshit, Who are you in my kingdom to try to kill the cow and the bull? Immediately, Kaler dosanade rajan, hasti eka mahadgunan, kirtanadeva krishnasya, mukta sangha param brajet. My dear king, although Kali Yuga certainly Maharaj Parikshit was feeling, he was so much anguish had gone through his forefathers, what to speak of his own mother, Uttara, to safeguard his life, not just because he's the child in our family. There's that whole chapter, Birth of Maharaj Parikshit, where his horoscope is done and all great personalities are predicting his extraordinary deeds that he would do and how great this personality is. He's personally saved in embryo by Krishna himself. And all this was spoiled, and then an inexperienced Brahmin boy curses him to die for no reason whatsoever. Boy, this Kali Yuga is pretty rough. Although this Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom. So the devotees who oversaw the translation and commentary, here Dayananda Maharaj, Gopi Paranadhana Prabhu, particularly or especially, after mentioning the innumerable faults of this age of Kali, Shukadeva Goswami now mentions its one brilliant aspect. Just as one powerful king can kill innumerable thieves, this is a nice analogy. One brilliant spiritual quality can destroy all the contamination of the age. It is impossible to overestimate the importance of chanting the Maha Mantra. And Shukadeva Goswami concludes this chapter by saying, whatever result, Krite yadayato Vishnum, Tretayam yajato makai, Dwarpare paricharyam, Kalo tad dari kirtanat. Whatever result was obtained in Kali Yuga by meditating on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, and in Dwarpa Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Similar verse is found in Vishnu Purana, also Padma Purana, and Brihadaranyaka Purana. Whatever is achieved by meditation in Satya Yuga, by the performance of sacrifice in Treta Yuga, and by the worship of Lord Krishna's lotus feet in Dwarpa Yuga is obtained in the age of Kali simply by glorifying the name of Lord Keshava. In conclusion, massive propaganda should be made all over the world to induce people to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, by which human society can be rescued from the dangerous ocean of the age of Kali Yuga. To fulfill a particular desire within his mind, Lord Krishna, Brajendra Kumar, decided to descend on this planet after mature contemplation. Lord Krishna therefore first allowed his family members or superiors to descend on the earth. I shall try to describe them in brief because it is not possible to describe them fully. Lord Sri Krishna, before appearing as Lord Chaitanya, requested these devotees to precede him: Sri Sachi Devi, Jagannath Mishra, Madhavendra Puri, Keshava Bharti, Ishvara Puri, Advaita Acharya, Srivas Pandit, Acharya Ratna, Vidyanidhi, and Haridas Thakur. There was also Sri Upendra Mishra, a resident of the district of Srihata. He was a great devotee of Lord Vishnu, a learned scholar, a rich man, and a reservoir of all good qualities. So Upendra Mishra is the father of Jagannath Mishra, Lord Chaitanya's to-be grandfather, and he had 7 sons, and the 5th son was Jagannath Mishra. They decided to reside on the bank of the Ganges at Nadia. That was Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jagannath Das Babaji's great rediscovery of the actual house of Jagannath Mishra and Sachi Devi, the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, which is commemorated there at the Yoga Pit in Mayapur. Who has been there? Raise their hand. Haribol. Jagannath Mishra was designated as Purandar, exactly like Nanda Maharaj and Vasudev. He was the ocean of all good qualities. His wife, Srimati Sachi Devi, was a chaste woman highly devoted to her husband. Sachi Devi's father's name was Nilambar, and his surname was Chakravarti. Gorgonadesh Deepika, it is mentioned that Nilambar Chakravarti was formerly Gargamuni, was the priest for Nanda Maharaj, and did the naming ceremony of Krishna and Balaram. In Radhadesh, the part of Bengal where the Ganges is not visible, Nityananda Prabhu, Gangadas Pandit, Murari Gupta, and Mukunda took birth. Lord Krishna, Brajendra Kumar, first caused countless devotees to appear, and at last he appeared himself. Before his appearance, the appearance of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees of Navadvip used to gather in the house of Advaita Acharya. In those meetings of the Vaishnavas, Advaita Acharya used to recite Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, decrying the paths of philosophical speculation and fruitive activity, and establishing the super excellence of devotional service. In the house of Advaita Acharya, all the Vaishnavas took pleasure in always talking of Krishna, always worshiping Krishna, and always chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Prabhupada's purport. On these principles only does the Krishna consciousness movement go on. We have no business other than to talk of Krishna, worship Krishna, and chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sri Advaita Acharya Prabhu felt pain to see all the people without Krishna consciousness simply merging in material sense enjoyment. A bona fide devotee of Lord Krishna is always pained to see the fallen condition of the whole world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, quote, "There is no scarcity of anything within this world. The only scarcity is of Krishna consciousness," unquote. This is the vision of all pure devotees. Because of this lack of Krishna consciousness in human society, people are suffering terribly, being merged in an ocean of nescience and sense gratification. A devotee onlooker is very much aggrieved to see such a situation in the world. Seeing the condition of the world, he began to think seriously of how all these people could be relieved from the clutches of Maya. So all of these things are going on simultaneously. The Lord is causing his first devotees to appear before him. Now, before the birth of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 8 daughters took birth, one after another from the womb of Sachimata. But just after their birth, they all died. Jagannath Mishra was very unhappy at the death of his children, one after another. Therefore, desiring a son, he worshipped the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu. After this, Jagannath Mishra got a son of the name Vishvarupa. Who was most powerful and highly qualified because he was an incarnation of Baladev. The expansion of Baladev, known as Sankarshan in the spiritual world, is the ingredient and immediate cause of this material cosmic manifestation. And several verses describing the glories of Vishnu, Vishvarupa. Because Mahasankarshan is the ingredient and efficient cause of the cosmic manifestation, he is present in every detail of it. Lord Chaitanya therefore called him his elder brother. The 2 brothers are known as Krishna and Balaram in the spiritual world, but at the present moment they are Chaitanya and Nitai. Therefore the conclusion is that Nityananda Prabhu is the original Sankarshan Baladev. The husband and wife, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata, having gotten Vishvarupa as their son, were very pleased within their minds. Because of their pleasure, they specifically began to serve the lotus feet of Govinda. In the month of January, in the year 1406 of the Saka era, Lord Krishna entered the bodies of Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata. So this is 10 months prior to Falguni March of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who took his birth in the year 1407, Saka era, in the month of Falgun. So there's a different calculation, this calendar, Saka era, which corresponds to now, as we're describing, the Gregorian calendar. So that would have been 1485 and 1486. Respectively. Therefore the Lord, pardon me. But here we see that he entered the bodies of his parents in the year 1406 in the month of Magh. So therefore he entered the bodies of his parents 13 full months before his birth. Jagannath Mishra said to Sachimata, I see wonderful things. Your body is effulgent, and it appears as if the goddess of fortune were now staying personally in my home. Anywhere and everywhere I go, all people offer me respect. Even without my asking, they voluntarily give me riches, clothing, and rice paddy. Sachimata told her husband, I see wonderfully brilliant human beings appearing in outer space as if offering prayers. In a dream, I saw the effulgent abode of the Lord enter my heart. From my heart, it entered your heart. I therefore understand that a great personality will soon take birth. Nilambar Chakravarti then did an astrological calculation and said that in that month, taking advantage of an auspicious moment, the child would take birth. So interestingly enough, there was I didn't study it completely, but a practical full lunar eclipse last night, which was from 12:30 in the a.m. till about 3:30 or so. So in the year that Lord Chaitanya appeared, 1486, there was a full lunar eclipse, which the people in general, they take it as tradition to chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra during that time. All people thus chanted the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra during the lunar eclipse, and their minds were struck with wonder. When the whole world was thus chanting the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, in the form of Gaur Hari, advented himself on this earth. The whole world was pleased, While the Hindus chanted the holy name of the Lord, the non-Hindus, especially the Mohammedans, jokingly imitated the words. In this atmosphere, all 10 directions became jubilant, as did the waves of the rivers. Moreover, all beings, moving and non-moving, were overwhelmed with transcendental bliss. Thus, by his causeless mercy, the full moon, Gaurhari, rose in the district of Nadia, which is compared to Udayagiri, where the sun first becomes visible. His rising in the sky dissipated the darkness of sinful life, and thus the three worlds became joyful and chanted the holy name of the Lord. So we should conclude because we're over time, but we see how Lord Chaitanya was named Nimai, Nimai Pandit, ultimately later on, and how he was raised very jubilantly by Jagannath Mishra and Mother Sachi Mata. There's a benediction that's described that Lord Chaitanya is very, very pleased with anyone who hears the narration of his appearance and blesses such a person very greatly. So today is the festival of Jagannath Mishra. Lord Chaitanya appeared in the evening when the moon is rising. So on the next day today, the great festival of his birthday was performed. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Namo Mahavadhanaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gaur Tvashe Namaha. Divyad Brindaranya Kalpajumada Srimad Ratnagara Singha Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Pestalabi Sevya Manos Marami Shri Radha Govinda Ki Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hare Krishna.